Welcome to this episode of Our Voices, Our Hopes. I am joined today by Justin Thomas-Copeland, President and CEO of DDB North America. Welcome, Justin. We are so happy you could join us today.
Hi, Rita. Thank you. It's great to be with you and appreciate the invite and great to see you. How are you?
Thank you. Great, thanks. Very excited to hear from you today. Tell us about your journey as a leading executive who just happens to be diverse and how it's shaped your view as a leader and the work that you do. Great
question. My journey has been, I would say in one word, sort of non-uniform, non-linear is another word. It's been really a journey of, I think, keeping myself open to opportunity. It's been a journey of not putting limits on myself. That's limits in terms of the jobs that I've gone for, have been offered, the locations where I've worked. I've been blessed to have been worked around the world. And so I think it's been a journey of just openness and then taking that into how I build teams, how I work with teams, and really just as much as possible, just being my true self and bringing that to some of the different tasks that I've had. My journey's been, I think, marked by a lot of transformation, a lot of sort of reimagination, a lot of roles where there hasn't been a predecessor or there hasn't been a blueprint. So you've got to sort of build it as you go or redefine it as you go. And I've grown to love that. I've grown to really lean into those types of opportunities. And then, using that to give my teams expanse to drive how they need to drive. And everyone to be accountable, not least myself, being at service to the team, obviously laying out visions and strategies, but essentially then knowing when to step back and let the teams just take over and do the work, their magic, and realizing it's a team sport. So I think all of my journey, my openness has just really paved the way for how I lead and how I see opportunity, where maybe if on a few occasions in my career, others haven't seen it. Or they've questioned why I'd want to do that. Not least this role, actually, because I left the precision marketing group and came to DDB, and so many people text and called me saying, why would you leave the world of data and precision and go the other way? And it's like, because there's a code to be cracked, and that's interesting. And that's where I think people like me grow the most. So I think that's just, if you like, a representation of my broader journey, just staying open and putting no limits and following where I think there's great opportunity for growth.
I love that, no limits. And for those of you who couldn't hear clearly, you come from the UK. And so can you share how your experience as a UK national and moving to the States has shaped your strategy and the perspective that you have on the business?
Absolutely. The first thing I'll say is, celebrate your differences. I mean, I worked in the US for so many years, but I think coming from the UK and then having sort of the international global experience I have, it does make me a little bit different here. It means my perspective is a bit different. I've probably seen things, I would say more things, but I've seen broader things maybe than some of my peers. I celebrate that. I don't tend to need to tuck in to sort of the local way of seeing things, because I think one thing about the US market and North America is it's very open-minded. And I've found that by embracing my differences and different experiences, it's been a real help in sort of getting people to understand how I think and how I feel situations. And I've used that as a strength. I've really used that as a strength. But also being aware not to lean too heavily on that as my ticket to success. So being really sort of in the client's business, those things don't change. Really understanding your teams, those things don't change. But I think, being from the UK and coming into the US, my differences has been a strength and allowed me to maybe get noticed and accelerate new ideas and have different thoughts to bring to the table. And maybe my teams have been open to listening to that, because I am different and I have got something which is coming from outside, and it's good for what we're trying to do here in the inside in the US and North America.
I agree. I love that. I love the celebrating the differences and the secret sauce that adds to the overall strategy. So talking a little bit about inclusion in the agency workplace, why is that type of work important to you, and how do you create and maintain in this marketplace with limited talent? How do you create and maintain a diverse workforce?
Yeah, great. Love that question. I mean, first of all, I think you've got to, as an individual, no matter what your level, you've got to really believe in diversity, right? And inclusion. You've got to believe that you're not just diverse in terms of your makeup of a team and the company, but also that people are feeling included. So it's got to be real to your culture. And you can't, I mean, you can't force a culture, you can't manage a culture, you can't PowerPoint in a culture. It's got to be living and breathing. So it takes a bit of time. One of the things that we've done at DDB North America is really to take that to the heart of our strategy for the region. We have 3 sort of nodes of growth as part of our strategy. The first is clients, capabilities, and offices. The second is our North America leadership team, which is a service-based team, which then is like a SWAT team across the region. We don't sit at the center and preside over the region. No one's interested in that. But the third is around people. We've taken people right to the heart of our strategy for success for North America. And diversity and inclusion is all over that. And then some real deliberate steps that we've made. In December, we decided to take our HR teams out of our agencies for San Francisco, New York, and Chicago, and form a regional team. We pulled that resource into a regional team. And it was because we really wanted to take a more strategic view on diversity and inclusion. And clearly our people strategy had to reflect that. And rather than doing that by office, which is the normal way that agencies operate, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way, we felt that we needed to amplify that. So we put that into a regional team. We then had 2 sides of that team run by our team of VPs. We have 1 VP that's running talent attraction and acquisition, and a separate set of 2 VPs rather that are running people growth and retention. And that's just given a completely different focus. It means that we've got 2 strategies that come together as one. It's like 2 sides of the same coin. But it means on an attraction side, we're really looking at new places, new types of diversity. So of course we want sort of sexual orientation, gender reference, obviously minorities, color, ability, disability, but we also want social diversity, we want educational diversity, we want professional diversity, and we didn't really have a rule book for some of those broader sets of diversities. So that's what we're doing now on the talent attraction side, and going broader and deeper and more strategic with partners. And then we're having to really look at our playbook for people growth and development, because if you bring different people into the organization and you run the same agency playbook, you're not going to hit the mark in many spaces. So we're re-looking at that and how we grow our people. And then just to make sure that diversity is really going to be intrinsic to this team, we've just hired a new global head of diversity and inclusion, a fantastic colleague called Nikki Lamba. And in talking with our global CEO, we agreed that we would bring Nikki into North America. And we wanted her, DE&I to be in the business, not at the side of the business. We want to make sure that it's global as well in nature, but we wanted it inside the business. And we just felt, and I felt strongly that talent is really our most important asset. Everyone says it, it's in all the books, but we wanted to show that. So we've actually asked Nikki to come into North America and lead our people team. Now, Nikki is not a HR specialist. She's never worked in an agency. And she has no sort of preconceptions of the role. So she's going to bring a completely fresh perspective on how we're looking at people. She's asking new questions of us. She's given us new business analytics and data points that we never had. She understands diversity, obviously deeply, and she's got a decade and a half of C-suite experience. So the types of questions and strategies that she's bringing is just going to revolutionize DDB in North America. So fast forward 6 to 12 months time, we will have, I think, a very different culture, a very inclusive workforce, and it will be driven by DE&I as like being a leader and a leading part of our business strategy, and not just a function of our business strategy. So all those things are really proof points that we're taking it really seriously. We are not, this is not procedural. This is not ticking boxes. This is not about quotas. This is about structures, teams, and whole ways of looking at bringing diversity to the heart of the organization. And we're really excited about it. I don't think any agency's ever done those sorts of moves. The office CEOs and presidents, they had a couple of things to say, but they understood and they were really happy that we were going bigger. And it's really paying off. Already we see in 2 months, we're getting more diverse people, our pipeline's quicker, we've got different types of skill sets, arguably some people that would never have thought they themselves would sign up for, to work at DDB because they had a thought of who we were and who we weren't. But now we're seeing that it's paying off already in 2 months. So super excited about it, and the inclusion and diversity that's now going through the organization.
That's awesome. I love the notion of the playbook and making sure that you have the right playbook and we're not running the same plays after we're bringing in new people when we haven't created the system that works. And so it sounds like you guys are really making the investment in the talent. And I love that in 2 months you're seeing payback, right? That's the exciting part of bringing in the right people to lead this and make it part of the core of what we do every day. So let's change the conversation a little bit, because I think this is an interesting pivot, but still relevant in terms of what we're talking about. How do you define multicultural marketing, if you even actually use that term? Because I would love to hear that from you. Right. And what are the expectations clients like McDonald's and others have for you? And are they giving you any direction in this space?
Right. Multicultural marketing isn't actually a term that I personally use very much. Because I kind of see the world in that way anyway. And maybe that's just because I've worked in so many different places. So I've never used that term, but I obviously respect it and appreciate it. I think the world, everyone knows the world is changing. Demographics of the world are changing. The makeup, the culture, the cultural cues that drive the world are changing. The norms, everything's changing. And I would say that there probably needs to be a reverse merge of multicultural agencies becoming just mass agencies, right? It's a little bit like the moniker of digital. We all live digital. Why do we talk about digital and label it? So I'm kind of that school. And I think clients are really focused on diversity and what that means for their brands. They're asking us questions about how and where do they build their brand? Who are the teams that are building their brands and bringing the ideas? Are they representative? Are you as a company representative of our values and aims in terms of being diverse and inclusive? And how are you bringing that into your thinking? So how is the brand sort of strategy, the brand creative strategy? How are you thinking about our business in a way that is through that lens? And clients are definitely wanting to know that we are taking it seriously, making steps, and they want to see it pay out in the work. I think the difference is maybe a few years ago, clients wanted to know sort of as an agency what your makeup was in terms of being multicultural and diverse, but it would stop short of sort of talking about the work. It would be more about us as an agency and as a partner organization. But senior clients now are pulling that all the way through to the ideas that they see. I've had clients talk to me while at DDB about ideas that they've seen, and asking if these are representative of the teams and who's on the team, and asking really good questions. And I don't shy away from those questions, and I don't see them as negative. I think it's always good when you have good people around you that will just make sure you're on your toes, like a family member, like a friend. The tightest family members and the best friends are those that you can argue with and hug and live real life with. So we welcome all of our clients asking us deeper questions about this. And some of the steps that we've taken that I just explained are going to be helpful. I would say that you can never do enough, though. You can never be, multicultural enough. You can never show that enough in the work. And so for us, it's an always-on watching brief. But many clients have asked about it. McDonald's, you mentioned. We've had other clients like Molson Coors and State Farm. Every client is really looking at the world and their place within it, and they want to contribute. And they want, our clients want us as a partner to be thinking and acting. It's about our behavior. What are we doing in that way? And how is the work reflecting that as well? So that's a new dynamic, maybe, where the work is now as much as important as the agency makeup. I think they go hand in hand anyway. And we're excited about the teams and how we're putting together different sort of diversity and inclusive teams to drive that. I think multicultural is like the new mass agency. And we welcome that, and we're excited by it.
Can you talk a little bit about the role of the marketer and their agencies in addressing racial bias and injustice?
I think it stems from the values. that a brand has. I think it stems from the values of the leaders within both organizations. I think that sets the tone. I think, every brand has to work out their own sort of right of voice and relevance of voice in, social injustice and racial injustice, because these are very heavy topics and they're real topics. And you want whatever a brand does and an agency does to be authentic and also sustainable. And I think one of the things that when we talk to our clients around these subjects, we look at the sustainability and the relevance of anything that they may be thinking of doing or activating. But I do think that brands have a role. I think business has a role in broader society. I think it stems from having a very clear set of values that reflect the world that you want to live in, and how you build your brand and how you build your programs for the brands, and the partners that you invite to be part of that journey should be reflective of that. There's a lot of social outreach that some brands do, and that makes perfect sense. There are other brands who have less relevance to do that, and they do things more sort of grassroots rather than frontline brand activation. I think you decide where on that spectrum your brand shows up and where it's relevant. But the one thing I will say is that, and this is more of a personal thing, but just make it sustainable. Don't make it about a campaign. Don't make it about a moment. Don't make it about, an opportunity. Make it about what you stand for and who you are as a brand and as a leadership team within that brand organization, and then extend that out to the types of clients, agencies rather, that you want to invite in to work on your brand. I think those are some of the key things, because what the world is sensitive to is authenticity, especially after 2020. People just want the real. They just want it to be real, and they want it to be sustained. I think that's a very fair ask. And it's something that I think values go a long way to making sure that that is the case.
That's a powerful way to end. Values, powerful values that are sustainable and authentic. Thank you, Justin, for a brilliant conversation today. I so enjoyed it.
Thank you, Rita. It's been my pleasure. I appreciate the invite.
And thanks everyone for watching this episode of Our Voices, Our Hopes, a series produced with BTV for the benefit of Boys and Girls Club of Puerto Rico. I hope you will join Disney in supporting this wonderful organization. And to find out more, visit bgcpr.org. Thank you.